I'm Farah Duro, and you're listening to the PCOS Revolution podcast. Well, hello there. It's been such a wonderfully hectic week since opening up our new PCOS Revolution Academy, and I held 2 online workshops this past Tuesday. So I can't tell you how amazing it's been to hear from some of you who have been messaging me on Instagram and through our Jumpstart group, really from all over the world. It's been super exciting. So I'm really glad to see so many of you just fired up about really taking the bull by the horns and wanting to know more about how to reverse your PCOS symptoms naturally. So I can't wait to share some of my stories with you in our webinars coming up today. The day that this is airing, we have 2 webinars coming out. And so it's not too late to register. If you're listening to this sometime in the morning, you can go to the PCOSrevolution.com and you'll see the sign up link right there. So just don't worry if you're listening to this episode after the webinars aired, because if you go to this page, you can register for the next one. So don't stress. No worries, guys. So since I'm recording this on Valentine's Day, I just wanted to take a moment to let you know how much I appreciate all of you taking time to listen and to give me your feedback. And if you haven't had a chance to get in touch with me, you can find me on Instagram by typing in FL Complete Wellness, like Florida Complete Wellness, or just searching by my name, Farah Duro. And I've figured out how to actually check messages on Instagram recently, guys. So that's how far behind I was. But I've been communicating with some of you, and it's been awesome, and really from all over the world. I mean, it blows me away how much reach a podcast has. When I started doing this a year ago, I had no idea really if anybody would even listen, but I just really wanted to share my story and to help as many women as I could with PCOS. So I am really just so grateful for all of you. And I really hope that I get to see you sometime in our online workshops or with our groups. So getting to the subject today, I actually woke up this morning with this really bizarre song in my head from an old game show called The Weakest Link. So some of you might remember it, and some of you, or probably most of you, are too young to really remember it, but it was a show that started out in the UK and it was broadcast in the US in the early 2000s. So I was in college, and I remember this lady's voice. It was really powerful. She would come up and say, "You are the weakest link." And so when I heard that, it was so weird. I hadn't thought about that show in years, but for some reason, I just woke up with that in my head. So really the gist of the show was that the host of the show would ask a series of questions to the contestants, and inevitably one of the contestants would be voted off by the others as being the weakest link. So, for some reason, after decades of being just buried in my brain, this show just popped up. And I was like, whatever happened to this show? So I realized that I needed to look a little more closely at what my weakest link was. That could really sabotage my health if I didn't pay attention to it. So I thought about it, and this is what I discovered. My weakest link when it comes to PCOS is meal planning and prep. And I realize that it might sound really funny, but this one thing, if I don't do a good job with it, it can really destroy any efforts I've done with my exercise routine and just about everything else. So it's something that might be so simple for some of you, but I've struggled with this for a really long time. And I think I can trace this back to growing up. I was raised on a lot of processed foods. And my mom, bless her heart, I love her dearly. She was a single working mom, and she wasn't big on going to the grocery store or really cooking for that matter. So most of our meals came from the freezer, and I really never learned how to properly plan a meal or to cook until much, much later in my life. And what happened was it really came from me gaining 40 pounds after I had my son, during the pregnancy and afterwards. And I realized that my PCOS was just totally out of control. And it was a wake-up call. I couldn't just ignore it anymore. So I hired a personal trainer to come to my house, and he did a complete overhaul of my kitchen. It was the most, I guess, eye-opening experience to have someone else in your kitchen, thinking, oh, well, I'm sure these foods are good and they're healthy. And he's going, nope, 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 taking them out, just cleaning it out and throwing most of it in the garbage. And then he would come to my house 3 times a week at 5:30 a.m. and drag my butt out of bed and say, let's go. So I ended up losing all the weight and then some. And it's funny because I want to make this clear that my son is now 10 years old and I still struggle with meal prep. So I know a lot of you are in the same boat, but that experience of going through that and struggling with my weight and really trying to make sure that it didn't come back. I had to actually try so many different programs and figuring out how the heck do I plan a, meal for me and my family, my husband, so that we're eating healthy, and not just, let it go like it did. So today I wanted to share a little bit of my meal prep routine with you guys. And my goal is by sharing this is we can actually all become a little better at it. So I've included a free download in the show notes of the meal prep guide we use in our 90-day reset program. And so you can try it out for yourself. And you can just click on the free meal prep link in the show notes and you can download it there. And I want to also give a shout out to Home Chef because they've been so instrumental in sending me 3 delicious meal kits every week religiously for the past 2 years now. And I've included their info as well because, for me, it's a relief that at least half of the meal prep of the week is done because I already have the ingredients. I just have to cook it. And I can do that. So to be honest, it's not my most favorite all-time thing to do. But what I found is that if I take time to plan out the meals for each week and just writing out a grocery list instead of just getting to the store and going, okay, what am I going to get? It means that I save time and money and I have a better schedule, more regular with my eating habits, and I'm not as stressed out. So the question always is what's for dinner? It just gives me anxiety. I don't know what it is, but I think it's just because it's one thing that I just have a really hard time planning out. So I have taught my patients how to do this, and we talked about it in our Jumpstart group as well. And, not surprisingly, in the Jumpstart group, that was one of the hardest things that we did. And actually, that's not just coming from me. That was actually a consensus. Out of everything, that was the most difficult thing. And I think it just comes from not enough time. So I can make excuses that I don't have enough time. But the reality is it's really important to make time. So I feel like that's something that I want to get better at this year. And also, it saves money because you're not eating out as much. And we know with PCOS, it's so hard to eat out and continue to lose weight or maintain your weight or even just maintain your health, because a lot of the foods, even though they say that maybe the restaurants are healthy, who knows what they're putting in the foods. And the portion sizes are definitely, in at least United States, they're really big. So it's very difficult to even, if you eat a salad, sometimes a salad is 1,000 calories or more. So it's super difficult. So if you plan out your meals, it reduces your stress level because you have a solid plan for the week. So you don't have to rack your brain at the last minute as far as okay, what am I going to make for dinner? So we're going to spend a little time today getting your meal prep in order. And if this is not your weakest link when it comes to resolving your PCOS symptoms, then maybe ask yourself the question, well, what is really tripping me up on a regular basis? It might be getting to the gym. It might be getting enough water in. It might be getting enough sleep. It could be, keeping control of your stress level. For me, it's meal prep. So stay with me, guys. Even if you're strong in this, you might actually learn a few new little twists on your meal prep routine. So number one, when we talk about meal prep, is to get organized. And what I did is I went on Amazon and I actually purchased these glass meal prep containers, and they have a little division between them, so you can put 2 different types of foods there. And I prefer glass just because who knows about plastic? I don't like to heat up things in plastic, so I don't want those exogenous estrogen mimickers in my food. So I bought a bunch of glass containers for meal prepping. And what I do is take them all out on Saturday or Sunday. And sometimes I work on Saturday in the clinic, so I will do it on Sunday. And, choosing whatever day works for you, but that's just my preference. And I sit down and figure out what the heck we're having. So we write everything down, and we also do the grocery shopping that day. So you can do this the night before and just shop the next morning. That works well too. But sometimes I typically find that I'm doing the menu and the meal list, the shopping list, the same day as the shopping itself. And sometimes I plan the menu on Saturday and they do the shopping on Sunday. So before I start, I ask my family, what do you guys want? What do you like? And they can look over different choices and pick out things. Sometimes I just skip that part and I just plan it for them. So if you like looking at cookbooks, you can look at recipe cards and different things like that. We actually have a system that picks everything out for us. At our clinic, we actually have a meal planning system in place for our patients. And I use a lot of those recipes as well. It's based on the Mediterranean diet. And for me, it works well because it's low carb. It's actually a gluten-free Mediterranean plan. And it actually comes with an app, so I can use that app for the meal planning because it has all the recipes there. But you can go online and find a lot of meal planning websites. All Recipes is one that I like. There's a couple of different good ones. And some of the time you can actually put your preferences in. So you like low carb and you don't do dairy and you like certain things. So you can actually just cater it to what you like, which is pretty cool. And then you just start with what you know. So you don't want to overwhelm yourself. You get like 5 or 6 really tasty recipes for the week, and then you go with that. And you can add to it little by little if you want. If you eat out a couple times a week, then you just start with like 3 dinners, and then you just increase it from there. So I know every week we're going to have 3 dinners already done because we get those delivered as far as the ingredients with Home Chef. The other nights, it's up to us. And I find that if we can meal prep for the weekend, then actually it's easier. We don't have to think about going out to eat or ordering things that are going to be way too heavy and not good for us. So then if you have things coming up, activities you're going to, plans, and you're going to go out for dinner, then those things you can say, okay, probably I'm not going to be doing meal prep on those times. We're going to be eating out. But the other times you can just plan like 3-4 times a night where you actually know what you're going to cook. And then you just start increasing it. So you can do a slow cooker meal once or twice a week. And then you can just double it, whatever the recipe says, you just double it and have it for lunch the next day. And then you can do just kind of quick, easy meals on crock pot nights, that sort of thing. And then after you have figured out what meals you want for the week, you can start to create your grocery list. A lot of these meal prep websites, they actually have it done for you. I love the ones that actually list all the ingredients out, and that's just super easy. So you can either print it out or, you can take a screenshot and use that at the grocery store. But first I look at what we have in our kitchen. So I look at in the pantry and see what ingredients we have. And then whatever is missing, I can actually go ahead and write that down on the list. I still handwrite my list. I know it's really old school, but that's how I do it. Only I can read my handwriting. And so then you can, mix it up a little bit. If you do have like ingredients delivered, like Dream Dinners or Home Chef, that sort of thing, then you have those nights covered and you have the other things, 3 other meals that you're going to plan for that week. And I feel like, to me, that's doable. When I get overwhelmed, I think, oh my God, I have to plan seven dinners. Like I get like a little bit nervous about that. So that's just me. But again, find something that you like. And if you have a smartphone, you can actually even do the grocery shopping from there. Sometimes there's many different services that you can use. And I think it just makes it really easy. So you figured out what days of the week you want to actually plan your menus. And then you have your grocery list all set. And then you basically post your menu on the refrigerator or somewhere everybody can see it. And then everybody knows what they're eating. Like, okay, that's what's for dinner, And you can also store the recipes on your computer and that sort of thing. So if you use the menu plan that we have in the show notes, it's like mainly a printout. You can actually just make copies of it and use it every week. And that's pretty easy to do. So then you can, save the ones that everybody likes. I kind of have my favorites that now I've realized like I can make it super fast. Like my go-to is like a turkey chili that I make with chickpeas and black beans. And it seems like everybody in the house will eat that, even though they're probably tired of it by now. But I don't know. For me, it's great because it has protein and it's low carb and it's super easy to make. So something that I really like to do is cook once and then, I have it twice. So I have it for lunch and I have it for dinner and just freeze the leftovers and that sort of thing if we need to use it the following week. But so I like to cook the quinoa ahead of time and refrigerate them. You could do that. And those usually can keep for a couple days. And also, this is a big one, defrost the meat that you're actually going to cook for the next day. So at night, I'll take the chicken out of the freezer and put it in the refrigerator so it's ready to go. So I don't have to feel like, oh, well, it's not defrosted. I guess I'm not going to make it. And sometimes I've done that. You can also chop your veggies on the weekend or the night before just to get a head start and just put them in storage containers like those glass ones and put it in the refrigerator. Also, with frozen veggies, you can use those instead for soups and crock pot meals and things like that. And then if you make your marinades or dressings, you could just do that ahead of time. And I've saved them and they've lasted sometimes 4 or 5 days for sure, especially the easy ones you do in the blender. So if you eat out 2 times a week and you have 20 recipes to prepare at home, that's 4 weeks worth of meals without repeating a meal. So it's not bad. You can actually expand the list as you like. And even if you just start out planning 3 of your meals a week, it's going to make a huge difference. I definitely feel less stressed when I know I'm ready for the week. And also my husband is less stressed because he has things to take to work to eat. And, he also needs to eat healthy as well. I mean, I feel like if he just buys food at work all the time, it's not the best option, And then just taking that 30 minutes out to plan the meals, now we do it together. I think that just takes the stress out of the week. It's like, okay, that's one thing that I don't have to be stressed out about or anxious about. And honestly, I fought this for a long time. It just seems so time consuming and just so much work. I don't know what I guess it's just because the way that, I never did it. So, but now it's just a regular part of our week. And it has been for the last few years. And I think that's been why I've been able to keep my weight under control and just, feel more energy. And my PCOS symptoms, my cycle's been super regular since I've implemented this. And my glucose is more balanced. I have more energy. I'm sleeping better. It's just, if that one thing is not controlled, then everything else, it's like a domino effect. It just all falls apart. So my advice to you was to give it a try. If you are not meal prepping, just give it a try. And I think you're going to feel definitely that anxiety sort of get less and less. And for sure, you're going to be saving a bit of money too, because you're not having to get things at the last minute and get unhealthy things and have to then deal with the guilt of eating those unhealthy things the next day. Not fun. So my advice to you would be to actually do a little experiment for the coming week. So just take a look at your calendar and see which nights you're going to be cooking and decide which nights you'll need a quick, easy meal and which nights you're going to have more time to prepare dinner. And then you just start your menu planning and prepping. And think about some new recipes that you might want to try. So you can write out the menu for the day's meals and just make a list of the ingredients to purchase, double check your pantry, and then decide which day you're going to do the grocery shopping. And I always, bring along some help too. I think I will go to the grocery store myself, but I think it's just more fun to have some help. And so sometimes I'll bring my husband along or my kids, but I try to make it an effort, a combined effort. And if it's just you cooking for yourself, then it is a little easier in some ways. And then in some ways, it's easier to slack as well. Because you're like, well, nobody else is going to eat what I'm cooking, so might as well just get something else, get something, out. And I just want to encourage you to put yourself first and treat yourself with the utmost care and respect and compassion this week and going forward. And know that just because you're not cooking for anyone else, you are doing something incredibly worthy and incredibly important for your body. So I want you to give it a try and let me know how it goes. I really think that this might be the key for some of you to actually start reversing your PCOS symptoms little by little. And it's not going to be overnight, but you're going to feel a huge relief when you actually start to see how your body responds. So good luck, everybody. And I hope to see you today in our Expert Secrets to Overcoming PCOS and Regaining Your Life online workshop. So if you're able to show up, it's at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and we have another one at 6 p.m. Eastern. And whatever time zone you're in, hopefully it'll work out. The 3 p.m. is usually better if you're in Europe and other parts of the world where it's nighttime. It'll be a little bit later at night, but hopefully that will be good. And then 6 p.m. United States is always a good time too. A lot of times for people getting off work. So I hope to see you guys there. We're going to do a live Q&A session after. And if you don't get a chance to watch and you're hearing this episode after the webinars, then still go to the PCOSrevolution.com. And then you'll see a link to any featured webinars or online workshops that we'll be having. So I hope to see you guys there. Have a wonderful week and really good luck with your meal prep.
And that's the end of this episode of the PCOS Revolution podcast. If you've enjoyed the show and want to help me spread the word about how women with PCOS and hormonal imbalances can lead happier, more healthier lives, please head over to iTunes and leave us a review. They really do make a difference. If you'd like to have a question answered on the show or would like to recommend a guest, please go to floridacompletewellness.com/podcast. If you're on social media, you can follow me at facebook.com/FloridaCompleteWellness and twitter.com/FloridaComplete, where I post a lot of interesting research, webinars, and articles on our blog about really getting to the root of hormonal imbalances like PCOS. So it's a great way to stay in touch with the latest developments. Thanks so much for listening and see you soon.